I'm sure someone will know. How's life with you?
I'm good, thank you. How are you?
Not too bad, thanks. Not too bad. Just had some healthy carrot cake with my son, thanks to our Uta fans who travel down. Obviously, do pretty much everything in terms of driving and team managing, assistant coaching, and obviously getting a massive carrot cake in if you can see it. So that was the most important thing on the way back on Saturday. I think that everyone in the WBBL would like that review.
And also, you've got the cake to take home.
Of course, yeah. That's the most important thing. I was going to share it, but we only had sporks from the services, so I thought it was only fair that myself, Kai, and Georgia had it.
Fair enough. I've given up sweet stuff for Lent, so all
Oh,
sweet
congrats!
stuff.
How's that going?
It's all right at the minute. It's only been, was it 2 weeks now? A week, 2 weeks?
Oh, well done. I lasted 2 days, and then I went back on to crisps and sweets. So I'm pretty bad at that sort of stuff. But until I put on 3 stone, I'm going to continue to eat it and then just run.
I was going to say you do a lot of running, so that probably counteracts it a little bit.
Yeah, I hope so. Long may it continue.
So what I thought we'd do is just have a chat about the games from the last week, and just kind of your experiences of playing some of the teams and things like that, if that's all right.
Absolutely fine. Absolutely fine. What was the first game of the
Kind
week
of
was
what
the Oaklands. Is that right?
it was,
Oaklands
yeah.
and
Yeah, so Auckland's Leicester. So Leicester continued on their unbeaten season so far, 64-54. What have you made of Leicester so far this season?
yeah, and I mean they're very good. I think as an organisation, they're where everyone would want to be in terms of the women's. I think the way they organise their program is great. They've got a fantastic coach in Jesper, and I think in my opinion, I think he's one of the best coaches in the league. So I think there for me are the team to beat and the model to follow. Very closely behind us. Nothing about my coaching, but just the model of the Newcastle Eagles and the support we have from them are fantastic. But I've been impressed with them, and they find ways to win. I think they haven't had an amaze. I think their final was a great performance, and obviously there's been some players leave due to personal reasons recently, and I'm sure they'll still come out on top. But I think I was surprised with the result. I haven't watched the game yet. I mean, I pretty much focus on the team we're playing or our performances. So to be honest, I haven't really. I had a quick look beforehand on some of the other games. Obviously, we play Nottingham this week, so that was a key game for me to watch in on. But credit to Oakland. They've been doing really good. That close game against Leicester, close game against Sevenoaks, regardless whether it being after a final or not. They're really pushing teams. So they definitely continue to improve, and Leicester find ways to win.
Yeah, I think you just nailed on the head. Leicester find ways to win, but how obviously their squad is very different today than it was maybe 2 weeks ago. How do you think that's going to affect them moving forward?
Yeah, I mean, I just don't know how quickly those players will embed. I think Kate Oliver was one and is, if she returns, one of the best players the league's seen. I think Zania Stewart is just an absolute icon, and had the pleasure to work with her at the Commonwealth Games, and she'll cause teams a ton of problems inside, and she's probably I think 100% a more dominant player inside. The beauty of Kate Oliver is she can really stretch the floor from the perimeter, and was their best three-point shooter. So defending their ball screen offense and maybe becomes a little bit easier for teams. I think so. So it'll be interesting to see how they sort of integrate the new players into the program. But I think that there'll be a big loss. Sarah was one of the brightest young players in the league as well. So so it'd be interesting. What I do wish is Russell and the organisation asked if we wanted to play them on the 28th. And if I'd known all about their playing personnel, regardless of that being 5 games in 9 days, I think I would have taken that, especially the high we're on after Cardiff. But now they'll have all their players in, so we'll just worry about that game later.
And just a word on Holly Winterburn's season. She put up 22 points, 6 rebounds, 4 assists in this game, but she's been great all season.
Yeah, I think she's a phenomenal British player, and someone who's definitely probably should be in talks of the GB team and should be on the GB team. But I think some people within basketball say, oh, she did some really good performances before she went. She hasn't been as noticeable, but I totally disagree. I think she's probably more efficient this year she has a supporting cast. Maybe in years gone by, there wasn't as much depth to the Leicester team. So I think she's performing at a very high level, night in, night out, and probably with all the change that's happening, she'll 100% look to put the team on her back. The same with Hannah Robin, and we'll see what their German point guard can do in terms of contributing a little bit more to help the new players in bed. But Holly's always going to be dangerous. She can shoot the ball, she can get to the basket, she's athletic, she's a competitor. So it's never a surprise to me that she's one of the top players in the league and been in the team of the week how many times. Leicester haven't lost, so if they're winning, for me it was either her or Holly would be so her or Kate would be a main reason, and then Sarah would slip under the radar, but was very, very underrated in terms of what she brought to that team.
We'll kind of touch on Oaklands a little bit more because they played Sunday, but let's move on to the trophy game midweek, a team you might know very well, the Newcastle Eagles.
Yeah.
Against Manchester. Obviously, not the result you wanted, 76-53. Talk us through the game.
I think we all felt very disappointed after the game, myself and the players, and I think we competed pretty well for 3 and a bit quarters. I think it was within 8 points. Unfortunately, I think we ran out of steam. We weren't particularly great at the defensive end, which is an area we've struggled at in previous games. I thought the previous week, coming off the London performance, I thought we did a really good job. So I was excited to see if we could continue to do it, but we just weren't. It just wasn't to be. I sometimes am a bit harsh on the players, but I think they'd agree we could have performed better, definitely at the defensive end. And then credit to Manchester, I think they've got one hell of a squad, and probably a lot of people may not have them in the contention for the top 4. I don't know, but I definitely would with some of the players they have and the skill sets they do. Like I can see them beating Nottingham. Nottingham's a very well organised team, some great coaching staff, but I just see Manchester too powerful for them, and we'll make it to a final. And then it'll be interesting to see what happens on that other end. You've got Barking Abbey, who are also undefeated, but we ran them close. Nottingham ran them close for the first half, and then they pulled away. So, like on that side, you've got Barking, Sevenoaks, and Leicester. You're not sure what's going to happen with Sevenoaks, if they're going to play a game or not. They've obviously got some fantastic players down there, but could there be more rust like there clearly was in the final? Maybe. And then Leicester, we'll see how they do with their new players. So I think if I'm looking at it, Manchester are probably one of the favourites now to make the final and potentially win some silverware, just with the continuity they have with Jeff and the players they have. I think they have a really balanced squad.
I talked to Sophia Song last week, and I said that it feels like Manchester's really gaining momentum.
I think they have.
Kind of sorting things out and getting the wins they need.
Yeah, I mean, you look at. Sophia Song is a fantastic player from college. She can shoot the ball really, really well. She's on our scout for that. We know what Nicolette can do. Every year she's one of the best on-ball defenders in the league. Gets the basket. We obviously would like her to stay outside shooting because we don't want to get into the basket. But she's shooting like a really high percentage from 3. Credit to herself and the work she puts in. Then Georgia Jones hits some great rhythm. Hannah Shaw's playing well. And then Ebony Horton's in her limited minutes is producing like a point a minute, and on very few field goal attempts. So they have such a balanced attack, and I think it's I think really cause some problems when Helen comes in. She's obviously going to hit some threes. So I think they're really good. I think they're peaking at the right time, and maybe we should have taken a little break and then re-hit the ground running. But I think they're doing very well.
Ebony Horton, you mentioned her. She top scored in the game with 19 points. As you said, limited minutes, but still finding to score.
Yeah, very hard to guard. Very good at getting to the basket. Great defender. So that was we knew what we wanted to try and give up to her. She is a very capable shooter, but in that game she was 2 of 10. So our plan was to make her take outside contested shots. We didn't want to get in the paint, and she got in the paint for 7 of 11. So that's either she is clearly a very skilled offensive player, but could we have been in better help? There were times in that game where her and Nicolette blew by us, so we weren't in a great stance or good guarding position, and we didn't have any help, which was a complete opposite from Saturday's game, which we'll come on to, I'm sure.
Yeah. Let's move on. Manchester, second game of the week. This time just down the road in Durham. Kind of Durham haven't won a game yet. I think what are they now? Was it 5 games they've played? 4 or 5? Where do you think Durham can improve, and how do you see them any wins this season?
Yeah, I think they will. I mean, I've got a ton of respect for Lee Davey, and you know he'll coach them, you know, incredibly well and put them in every opportunity to win games. I think they're light on numbers in their squad. You know, they're down 3 to 5 imports. They've got Cara, who was one of the most favourite players I've worked with in terms of a forward who could stretch the floor, shoot, put the ball in the basket. You know, she's probably too unselfish at times. I think she should be demanding the ball a lot more, and that's why she's been, you know, notching the performances she's just had recently. Claire Paxton, someone I've tried to get every single year to Newcastle. I think she stretches the floor well. She knocks down shots. You know, a great British player. So you know they've got some really good size at the forward position, and then like they've got hungry guards who maybe either haven't been given opportunities before. There's some good British guards there, some guards like Gerda who played here for a while, like who are going to compete every second that clock's ticking. So you know I think they're going to definitely pick up some wins. Hopefully not against us, but I think they will do. And you know I'm sure we'll come on to it. But the fact, you know, Manchester are a tough team. If I'm Manchester, I think they probably score. I haven't seen the game, so I can't really comment too much on the actual game itself. But looking at the stats, I think that Manchester shouldn't have allowed Durham to score that many points. It should have been probably even more plain sailing, a higher score difference, in my opinion. But then for Durham to go down the next day and lose the 10 to a very good Essex team after just playing at home with limited numbers shows that, you know, Coach Davey and the players have really bought into what he was trying to do. You know, they nearly nicked one potentially down in Essex. So I think, you know, no one can really sleep on them. There's a few of our teams in the bottom 5 who are probably pushing for 7th and 8th spot. And if you sleep on Durham, they'll definitely get a win.
You mentioned Cara Elderkin there, 20 points, 17 rebounds, 7 assists, 3 steals in that game against Manchester. Ebony Horse top scoring again, 15 points this time. Manchester had 6 players in double figures, so it just shows how rounded their squad is.
100%, yeah. When you know they're showing the ball well, any of them can score. So I think that's the hardest thing. And you know, if they could, like obviously in that game I didn't see it, so it's maybe unfair me commenting on it. But defensively, I would, if I'm them, I'd want to hold Durham to a little bit less. You know, they've got some very good forwards, so to allow Cara 20 points when you've got, you know, Hannah, GB, and you've got Mia who's down there, or Maya, I don't know how to say her name, but she's, you know, very talented forward. You know, I probably want to stop her a little bit more and make other players on the Durham team beat you. You know, no way. I don't want, if Cara gets 20 against us, I'll be disappointed because I know exactly what she can do, and we don't want Cara or Claire beating us. You know, I want to make other players beat us on that team.
Right, let's move on then. Cardiff against Newcastle. The long away trip for yourself.
It was, yeah. It was a very long way trip,
very good performance, very good win. How happy were you with the team?
I was ecstatic. It was such a great performance from every single player, everyone who stepped on court, and it was a massive. I mean, it's tough when we're on a losing streak. It's easy to lose. It's easy to throw the towel in. It's easy to do a whole lot of things. And I thought they were outstanding from the start to the finish. You know, like some of the contributions from players like Millie Oates and Ori were phenomenal that game for us. And defensively, they were outstanding, especially, you know, I never think we haven't caught a break this season. So we played Cardiff the first game, and you know, I knew they brought Marley Ball in. It had been announced. They do a good job of announcing their players unlike other clubs. So like, you know, you could do a little bit of research on her, and she's a very good shooter. And she, you know, we knew what we didn't want to let her do, and she had 19 points against us in that game. We lost by 2. And then we go down there and we say, okay, this is what we try and do. We want to limit this. We want to try and do this, this, and this. And then I heard them saying happy birthday to one of their players, Christina, who was their leading scorer last year, and she hasn't been on a single game this whole year. And she turns up and I'm like, oh my God, they've got another scorer here again. And she top scored for them with 15. So, but like, it was just, you know, they stuck the game plan. We didn't overemphasize it. We said, look, when she's in the game, keep her in front. You know, I was so proud, and especially, you know, like poor Ruth is like pulled her calf, you know, really been struggling all year with injuries. Rachel B played hard against Manchester, hurt her foot. So, we were down more players again for this game, but the way that every single player stepped up was amazing.
Yeah, I mean, you talk about injuries there. I mean, you look at the season as a whole, it's been incredible, the amount of injuries and kind of players in and out of the team and things like that. How tough has that been for yourself and the team?
I think it got to the point where, like no one wants injury and other clubs will deal with that. I'm sure there's loads of stuff going on at other clubs that we don't even hear about. So, it's a shame. Like, Marina was a massive blow. Sarah B was a massive blow. And that was really before the season even got going. And then, you're never going to stop, or I'm never going to stand in the way of players getting a good opportunity to get a contract. And, until the whole league and Newcastle as a club do a fantastic job of raising the profile, people like yourself, the sponsors we have, we're so thankful for all of that. But when players get offered, multiple thousands of euros for a 6-week contract in their home country, you think, well, you can't step in the way, like, of course. So it's been tough, but credit to the players. The players have done an awesome job of just whatever it is. And it has got to that point. It's like, what else will happen? Like, we'll wait for something to happen this week and we'll see what happens next week. But we take every practice as it comes. We try and get better where we can. Our aim at the beginning of the season was to compete for everything and win for everything. And with the squad we had, I thought that was very possible. And then obviously your goals have to change as you go through. So now we want to make a playoff position.
Yeah, you mentioned Ori's performance on Saturday. Just as a whole, I'd just say her performance has kind of raised to another level this season. What's your opinion on her season so far?
Yeah, Ori's been phenomenal. She, she puts the work in herself. Like, I really wish I had more time to do individuals, but I don't. So she'll learn from some of the players. We'll lead the individuals. She gets herself in the gym, gets shots up. And we've always known what she's been able to do defensively. Like, she's done that for years, whether it's in 4-minute bursts or whatever. But, this season she's stepped up. She had opportunities to play because there's other players that just aren't here. And she's absolutely grabbed that with 2 hands and ran with it. And, she was struggling a little bit of confidence-wise shooting for whatever reason, even though we say when you're open shooting. I think when a first shot goes in for a player, it's huge. And it seemed like first shots went in for every player on Saturday. And, we shot a fantastic percentage from the floor, good spacing. Everyone was getting in the score. I know you mentioned Manchester had 6 players, but we nearly had 7 players in double figures. Like, I think 3, and then the rest were 9s and 8s. So it was, it's really great to see. And, she's done an outstanding job, and she stays like level-headed. She stays working hard, and that's what she'll need to continue to do.
Before we move on, we could highlight like loads of players and stuff, but we haven't mentioned Alison Gurel yet. And I mean, scoring 40 a couple of weeks ago, and then I think it was 38 a couple of weeks after that. And then Eva's Player of the Week this week is Alison Gurel. So just a word on
100%. Yeah, I mean, she's great. She's everything you want in a professional athlete. She turns up week in, week out, dedicated to a sport, like the rest of the players, to be fair to them. But she'll do whatever she has to do to be ready for training, ready for game days. And the reality is, in our program, players have to balance work, studies. Ali runs her own online sports psychology business, so I think it's even more impressive from the women's league as a whole, but definitely our program and our team, that people are able to balance all these commitments and then still put in performances that people expect is just the norm. BBL get paid housing, all this sort of stuff, and they're paid to do that, whereas these girls aren't paid to do it, but they choose to do it, and they try to do it to the best of their ability, which is what I absolutely love about the women's game in this country, and I love about our program. So Ali typifies that with everything she does, and regardless of her being, if I'm another coach, I'm saying, right, we don't want her scoring. It's that simple. You stop her, and then you're probably going to stop us from doing things. And the great thing about Saturday was, even if they did try to stop her, she shares the ball like she does anyway, and everyone was in the positions ready to score. So, that's what, I'm sure she's been looking for in terms of teammates stepping up, and everyone stepped up. And she's, if I can get her back next year, 100% will. If we can find some sponsors who are listening now, then we'll see what we can offer her.
Right, let's move on then. London against Nottingham. You briefly mentioned this game earlier. It finished 79-61, but as you said, it was closer than probably that score suggests.
Yeah, it was. I mean, I was watching parts of it in and out this weekend, and it was definitely close. I didn't really see too much of the second half because of what I was up to. But I did watch the first, and I think there were some dubious foul calls against Nottingham, which put some of their main players in foul trouble, so they weren't able to compete the whole time. I thought both teams looked very organised. You know what you've got to try and stop against Nottingham. London have a very good balanced attack this year. Some good veterans. I thought Nottingham did a great job on Cassie Green. Kennedy and Steph step up, and it's interesting. I was speaking to Steph at the beginning of the year. She's a Cornell graduate. I've been there about 3 or 4 times, and she was looking for a specific program which they do in London. I said, if you came here, it'd be an opportunity to play, but I'm not sure how many minutes you get. And what a slap in the face that would have been, because she's killing it. She's a very much a garbage player, but she gets offensive rebounds, puts back, shoots about 70% from the floor, is in the right place. She's an undersized forward who can run the floor, play defense, rebound like there's no tomorrow. So I think she fits the London play that Mark's run there really well, and I don't think they were ever in any doubt of winning the game, and I think they pulled away, but I don't think the score reflects how good Nottingham were in the game.
You mentioned Kennedy Leonard. She's in the WBL team of the week this week for her 21 points, 4 rebounds, 11 assists, 4 steals. She's been incredible this season as well, hasn't she?
Yeah, she's great. I mean, again, I've tried to get her for years as well, but rightly so. She gets paid. She got paid well in Germany last year, and is getting paid very well in London this year. So I would love to get her. I've been close with her since the GB20s. I'm friends with the family. They very kindly put me up last year when I was doing some recruitment work for the university. So I know exactly what she's capable of, and she's doing that week in, week out. So and it's great that she's found the situation. She really loves London, loves her teammates, loves the coaching staff. So it's a great fit for her, and I think she'll continue to do great things. And we'll see if the ruling ever get changed at the FIBA level, because I think she would be a great addition to the GB team as well. But at the moment, you're only allowed 1 naturalised player, so that's Carly Samuelson at the minute. We'll see where our point guards are coming from, but I think she'll do a great job at the point guard spot at that level.
So London still unbeaten in the league. 5 wins they've got this season. Nottingham have got a 5-4 record as they move forward. So let's go to Essex versus Durham. 74-64. Again, you briefly mentioned this the other day. Durham pushed Essex quite close.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know if you've got some of the stats there, because like I said, I didn't actually see any of the key performance of that, but one thing that jumps out of my mind is, it's going to be a tough, long season for Durham, like it is ourselves, and the fact they had a game on Saturday at home and travelled to Essex and playing the next day, and to be close, and I think they're scoring more points now in these games, so obviously finding ways to put points on the board. It was 74, so they held Essex to fewer points than they've had this past month. So, they obviously did a very good job defensively. So it'll be interesting to watch that game for when we replay Essex and obviously play Durham. But I think it was, without looking really at any of the stats, I imagine Cara and Claire would have done a fantastic job for Durham. And then, I mean, Essex, I know Wade's in the team, and she was here a couple of years ago and she killed us in that game. She reminds me of a Georgia Ordoff. Of course, no one could be as good as Georgia Ordoff was for us, but she has the best energy, gets over offensive boards, great defender, really made Ali work hard in the second half of our game against Essex. Fantastic athlete. So she's definitely a player I think is phenomenal, and hopefully gets an opportunity to go on into Europe next year and earn some major money. But she's definitely a key player for Essex.
She finished with 22 points, 10 rebounds, and a couple of steals. Claire Paxton for Durham, 21 points, rebounds, 3 steals. Claire Paxton top scorer for Durham. Had 14 points.
There we go. Exactly. The Twin Towers doing their thing again. So we need to work out how we can slow them down on the when we play them in the forward position. We've got Deborah. So Deborah's Deborah. I forgot to mention Deborah about the weekend, because I thought Deborah did a great job. She was matched up with an Argentinian international, and her minutes were so sporadic. She was in for a minute and out, depending on whether Maria, I think her name is, came in or not. So the fact that she was able to stay mentally focused for the 20+ minutes she played, it was so in and out that, that's one thing I'm going to applaud her for when we see them at practice tomorrow, is that I thought, she was mentally ready every single time she came in, and it's very hard as a player to get rhythm if you're in and out of the game, and I thought she was outstanding. So knowing that we've got that level of buy-in from Deborah, who's just come in and started straight in, she'll hopefully cause Cara and Claire some issues That's for sure.
That's it. You mentioned it. It must be hard coming into a team kind of halfway through a season and trying to slot in, and she's done that very well.
Yeah, she's done an awesome job. Thankful that she's able to come in and commit. Balancing her teaching, so she's full-time teaching at this minute in time, and then coming along to practice. So that's like I said about all of our players, the fact they balance everything they do and then give everything they can on the court and in training is a credit to themselves. And until I win that Euro Millions, and we can reward them financially, then we'll continue to do what we do here.
The last game of the week was Sunday's game in Scotland, Caledonia against Oakland, and it was Oakland's first win of the season.
Yeah, I mean, great for Oakland. Probably would rather Caledonia won it just so it kept Oakland's on a few less wins, because it obviously opens everything up at the bottom of the table now. But a credit to Lee and Chris, the assistant coach there. I think they're doing a great job, getting better and better. And Caledonia is such a tough team to play, and I'd like to think we'll do a better job when we play them on the 15th of March here, because they did such a good job of controlling the tempo for such a young. Their probably average age is about 13, so I think they do what they should do best, which is speeding us up, and we crumbled with that. And credit to them, they really did a great job, and that's what they know they've got to do. They're going to win some games, they're going to lose some. Like Bart said at the beginning of the season, we're probably going to get the wooden spoon, so if we win a game, great. And I know Bart is full of his mind games with other things, but he's probably right. And the fact they've won 2 games is a credit to the players and the coaching staff they've got there. So again, if you come in thinking you're going to win, the chances are they're going to push you all the time, just because of the type of people they've got, the type of players they've got, and the mentality they have. So I think that was even more impressive for Oakland, because it could have been easy for them not to have a win, to feel some pressure. I haven't watched the game back yet, but they obviously did a good job dealing with the pressure, sticking to whatever defensive game plan that both Lee and Chris put in, and did a very good job coming away with a 10-point win in a very tough environment up in Scotland.
The second quarter for Oakland was they won at 29. I guess that there's the 10-point gap. What maintained throughout the second half.
What was it? Sorry, 9 in the second quarter.
20 points, 6 rebounds, 4 steals. And for Caledonia, Sean Phillips, the one of the moment, putting up some huge numbers for Caledonia. What can you say about Sean's performances?
I mean, yeah, she did awesome. Sorry, it broke up a little bit. What did you say that Sean finished with in the Oakland's game? Sorry.
She played the full 40 minutes, 22 points, 16 rebounds, 3 assists, and 4 blocks.
Yeah, I mean, great. I mean, someone that probably would not normally be on a scout. I mean, she was obviously on ours, and she still managed to tear us apart with stuff we didn't want her to do. But credit to her. First and foremost is obviously always the players, and then Bart and Donnie, who obviously do a very good job of the player development side of things. She's just an absolute battler. She's an undersized forward who finds ways to score in and around the basket. Gets rebounds she probably shouldn't, moves very well, and that's again down to the coaching that they have there in terms of where her gaps need to be. So I think I think she's doing great, and I'm assuming, I never know, I'm only joking when they're 13, I know they're young girls, but she must be going to a good school in the States, and it's people like that you want to continue developing. She's done her thing at GB level, and she's developed so much there, so I'm assuming now she'll go off to a fantastic scholarship over in the States. But what a fantastic number she's having. So we need to make sure that we don't give her 28 points and stupid amount of rebounds the next time we play. Hopefully we'll shoot a better percentage, so that'll limit her rebounds, and then hopefully we can slow her scoring.
Oh, so half court UK are saying at 7-0 to forfeit in tomorrow's semi-final.
Yeah, I mean, tough. Everyone hears rumours in British basketball, so I heard they were dropping out of the league. Who knows if that's true or not? I hope not, but if they do, hopefully I get my loss back to them, because that'll help. But it's just a shame. It's a shame for basketball. It's they're such a good team and such a steeped in history that no one wants to see people go out that way. It's what happens unfortunately a COVID season. You can't account for it. You can't account for people getting COVID. The decision to stop playing, anyone I think would support people in this, because everyone has their own reasons as to why they would or wouldn't, and player safety and personal safety is what comes first and foremost. And, you know, like I've reiterated a ton of times, is that I thought the club, Newcastle, I thought Basketball England, I thought the WBBL and BBL did a really good, you know, way of like protecting us, making sure we were safe. This was even pre the testing coming in. I felt very safe everywhere we went and training sessions. So it's tough, and it's going to be very hard for Seven Oaks to continue to fit their 20 plus games. And I think when you look at the table, we played 10 games. I think other people have only played about 5 or 6. So, you know, it's going to be very hard in the last few months to fit those games in. And then you're thinking, you know, as a coach, I'd be worried about injury rates. You know, it's a COVID year. People aren't at the fitness maybe they once were. And then if you're going to put a ton of games in at the end of the season, you know, I was generally worried for player safety. And that was something I spoke about. Obviously, every player could have done what they wanted to do. I was very clear I wanted to continue. And I would never have forced any of our players to continue if they didn't feel safe, but luckily they all did. But I think there's far more risk coming with injury than COVID to our players. And that's not to say everyone's circumstances are different. For people who work in the NHS, work in schools, you don't want to be responsible for putting yourself in a position to mix where you maybe find yourself, but it's who you live with or who you're working with, and rightly so. You should, you know, people should need to take that level of care. So yeah, it's a shame.
So that puts London in the semi-finals against Leicester. That's a big semi-final.
Oh, that'd be great. Yeah, I would normally say I would have been inclined normally, with my very opinionated way, to say whoever won that game would win the final. But I generally think you don't know. I think London are playing some of their best basketball right now. Be interesting to see how the new players adapt with Leicester. So that'll be interesting to see. Nottingham are capable, with Joyner and Shumpert, beating anyone on any given day. Manchester have the strength and depth, and hopefully they can, you know, just perform. So it'll be interesting to see. I think all of them will be interesting. I think an outside bet I would put on, I would put Manchester. I'd put Manchester to win. If I was a betting man and was allowed to bet, I would bet Manchester right now, just of everything that's been going on. And I'll get some hate from Kennedy after this, who will obviously say that London are going to win everything. So.
There's another couple of big games in the league next week. Cardiff against Caledonia. Obviously, 2 teams in a little mini league towards the kind of trying to get the playoff places. That should be a good game.
Where's that game at? Out of curiosity.
I think it's in Cardiff.
Is it? Cool.
Yeah,
Okay.
it's in Cardiff.
Nice. No, I think Cardiff would probably be the favourites. Maybe they'll take a good advantage of their height. They've definitely got some height and some good opportunities to score. But we've seen what Caledonia can do, and Bart and Donny are fantastic coaches, so I'm sure they'll put a good game plan in. But I don't even know. I need to work out who we think we need to win and who I'll be supporting. But right now, I only care about the Newcastle Eagles and that we finish in the top 8 if we can to prolong our season.
So the Eagles are at home against Nottingham on Sunday.
Yep.
And are you looking forward to that match?
Say that again. Sorry, I broke up a little bit.
Are you looking forward to the match on Sunday?
Always. I think anytime we get an opportunity to step on the floor will be great, and we've got some pretty good momentum right now with everything we had. Four games in 7 days last week. So you know we gave yesterday and today off. I mean, we had a court, so players would have gone to shoot, they would have gone to lift in our fantastic Eagles arena. But we're back on the court as a team Wednesday and Friday, so getting ready for that game. And it's just, you know, for us right now, it's pretty cool. Like, we're just trying to be better and continue to be better. And the performance we were fantastic. So we're going to build on that, and then we'll try and work out what our best method will be to slow down Joyner and Shumpert. And that's not taking anything away from the rest of their team. They've got, you know, Tia Freeman's playing some great basketball. They've got some really good players there. But, you know, we try and play as coaches, or as simply as we can, play the law of averages and see what we can do to make other people try and beat us.
Chris, it's been an absolute pleasure.
It's always a pleasure. Thank you very much for having me. I appreciate it as always.
See you soon.
All right, take care. Bye-bye.